This is Alexander the Great, the first Greek to go to India, and I'm the first Indian to come to Amy. So, yeah, I'm half Indian, so welcome everybody. So we are a global manufacturer. We've been working for nearly 27 years. We're based in Taiwan, and we are an original equipment manufacturer. So all of the cameras, all of the equipment you see is researched and developed by us. We give support for everything with a 5-year warranty with our great friends with Amy and our service center in the Czech Republic. We're part of a large company called Pegatron. So if you are lucky enough to own an iPhone or an iPad or drive a Tesla or own an Asus computer, all of this is technology made by Pegatron. So Pegatron is a big engineering electrical company in the Far East. So the relationship between Greece and Taiwan, $146.7 million, and I'm here to see if we can make it 147 million euros. That's the plan. The way of doing that is by showing you our new technology. So we start with voice tracking. So many of you will be familiar with the idea of cameras that do tracking. It's very familiar in the world of broadcast and education, which is fine when people are moving, when there's things to be tracked. But you guys, you're not moving. So we can't track you by motion. So we need to develop voice tracking technology. So what that means for Lumens is very simply demonstrated with a quick video. This is something that we shot at the offices of Yamaha a few weeks ago, which shall explain how it works.
On the remote experience, is it as good? Do you really know that I'm talking?
And if someone else talks, can you tell if I'm now talking or who's talking in the room?
So it's all a bit confusing, isn't it? But I think we can make it quite a bit better just by changing a setting. Okay, so now we've enabled the auto tracking mode. So you'll see in a few moments, the camera will zoom in on me, so you'll start to see me a lot clearer, and you can see that I'm talking. And also if I hand off to the rest of the room.
So yeah, if I start to talk and ask an intelligent question, everyone will be amazed. But we'll give it a go. Over to you.
And then I can also ask another question of the presenter, and the camera switches to me, and you on the remote end can see who's talking. And then Mark can answer my question.
Yeah, so if I just carry on talking, so again, you can see now that both Wim and I were having a conversation, and
the camera's staying on me over here, so you can see us interacting.
And then if I was to interject with a different question, then hopefully it will then pass to me so you can see my question for Mark to answer.
So the remote participants getting the whole picture of the room now, they're not just seeing a zoomed out view. So that works really well.
So thank you to our friends at Yamaha, who are big advocates of what we do and hosted us to create the video. So how do we do this? Well, there are a number of ways, many of which you'll be familiar with, to create anything as simple as a multi-camera video. So for broadcasters or people in live events, we all know about the operator with the joystick, the producer with the switcher, and they're producing regular TV, perfectly switched. They've got SDI cables, power cables, control cables, they've got signal extenders, conversion equipment, they've got 2 or 3 people working the whole system. Everyone has to be trained, so the cost is really high. Now, for a broadcast station, main channel, no problem. For a live event, a music concert in a big hall, no problem at all. But for a room like this, or a small studio, or a radio studio, these costs are becoming just too high. So AV has the answer. Its answer is to sell you a large rack of expensive equipment, to tie it all together and automate the whole process. So we would have cabling, probably nowadays most likely to be IP and HDMI. You still need to do signal extension and conversion. We'll do an HDMI matrix to switch cameras. All of this now needs to be automated, which means that you program every piece of equipment. You have QSYS or Crestron or Extron control mechanisms, which have to be programmed individually. So in order to run this, you're going to have some serious training and qualifications. Again, the cost is very high. The advantages of this system, 1, is it's automated, and 2, you can do things like you can automate the projector, you can automate the blinds, you can automate the lighting, air conditioning, can all be controlled with this system but you're talking of a very large investment to do that. So what's the Lumens solution? Simple. It's the little box on the table, which is called Cam Connect. And what Cam Connect is an all IP system. So we've got here camera 1, 2, and at the back of the room, camera 3. So these are all connected with a single Cat5 cable into just a regular 1 gig switcher. And we've got a ceiling microphone here. This is Sennheiser ceiling mic. So we've got reduced cabling, no SDI, no HDMI. We've got a camera mixer and programming system all in one. We've got a connection to a regular microphone. We've got everything down to a very low cost, about €2,000 or less local price. The training, I managed to train David, even David, in half an hour. Setup for the cameras, half an hour. Installation of the microphone, not a difficult job. So we can now take our technology at really low cost and do small meeting spaces, small radio studios, large conference areas, and have automated multi-capture switching and production just using this box and IP technology. Is it as good? Less cabling, integrated mixing, IP connection to the microphone, low cost, low training, not as flexible as the big rack of equipment. We're just interested in the cameras, the audio, and the switching. So if you need that fuller experience and have the investment, then there's the rack of equipment with Crestron and QSC available. But we can give you this all-in-one package at a really attractive price point. And it's fully automated. As soon as it's set up, it becomes literally plug and play. So it's ready to integrate into HDMI workflows and also unified communications workflows for use with Teams and Zoom and other packages like that. So this turnkey solution is designed to be user-friendly. So the setup is extremely visual. The way we map the room is visual rather than looking at complicated algorithms and programming. We use standard HDMI and USB connectivity, so I can just plug this device into my laptop, no drivers required, I'm ready to go. And it's got default integration with about 30 different microphone systems that we've developed. So all of the integration, all of the development and programming is done by us, so you don't have to do you don't have to reprogram when you add cameras or if you change microphone. Everything is just from drop-down menus. So this is all powered by these new generation of microphones. This is a Sennheiser TCCM, which is a multi-microphone system, and we work with microphones from lots of other brands. And what they're doing is creating beamforming sound patterns. So if David talks, there's a relationship between David and the microphone. If you talk, the same. So we know exactly where you are in the room. So we can take that information, the coordinates we get from David, give that data to Cam Connect, and Cam Connect tells camera 1, 2, or 3, look at David and switch, look at me and switch. So that's how we get into the video that we saw earlier, filmed at Yamaha, with really good level of automated switching camera to camera. So it's very clever. Great thing with Cam Connect is that we can scale. So we've gone from a single microphone to a large room with 3 microphones. The highest number of microphones we've tested is 16. We stopped at 16 because we only had 16 microphones. Could it do more? I don't know. It supports up to 4 cameras. So with large installations, we've taken it into conference rooms and large lecture halls. So now when we're doing remote education or hybrid conferences with people watching locally and remotely,
as you said, lower, what you call it, courtrooms.
Or in courtrooms, absolutely. We've now got the opportunity for people watching remotely to hear not just my voice, but also hear what the audience is saying and the interaction. So it's moving from the idea of me giving a lecture to everyone being involved locally and remotely. So the experience is much more level than it was in the time before all of this new technology came. When all you saw at the remote end was that horrible wide-angle view. No idea who's talking, what's happening. It's time to go to sleep. There's a lecture room. We've got a number of advanced features, which again are all built in both into the Cam Connect, but also into some of the intelligent features of the microphone. So we can exclude areas. So if this door was banging in the wind or people kept on coming in.
It squeaks a lot.
It squeaks. Then we can exclude this area. If we have people at the back of the room who keep talking, we can exclude them. So the microphone will not listen to them. So we can focus in on an area of the room that we're interested in. So the way we've set up our system here, which we'll demonstrate, is this area here is outside of our area.
We're talking about the features of the interaction between the microphone and the video part. Of course, the reason the microphone does this is so that it can capture specific audio of people that are talking, but
yeah,
the guys from NACAS can talk to you about that part.
Yeah. Another thing that we've been asked for so many times is multi-purpose spaces. So we have a room set up like this in the morning, and in the afternoon it divides into two spaces. How do we cope with this quickly without moving 2 racks of equipment into place? With Cam Connect, we can just call up profile 1 or profile 2. So it automatically knows different seating arrangements. So in this room, we could have theatre style is profile 1. Everyone around this table, profile 2. And I just press the button and it loads the profile and we're ready to go with the next meeting. So we work with the overhead cameras, microphones for sure, but we also work with desktop systems as well. So these are very easy to deploy, available from the likes of Yamaha, Sennheiser, but also we work with Televit conference systems, delegate systems. So it's either talk into it to activate the system or press the button to activate. And again, instantly the camera looks at you and switches. So very simple, replacing the overhead microphone with desktop, whether it's 4 on a desk or here 16. Different shaped meeting rooms work really well with the desktop style. So how do we set up Cam Connect? So we began with 360-degree room mapping, which is the most simple way for the audio manufacturers to divide a space. And we create a pizza. Is there a Greek equivalent of a pizza?
Pizza.
Thank you. I learn every day.
Pizza, in Italian it's pizza and or whatever.
Okay. All right. So we have different slices, and we can find out the angle that the voice is coming from, and we can create presets based on that for the cameras. So preset 1, preset 2, preset 3, etc. And with these cameras, we can have, for each camera, 100 presets each. No one will ever do that, but it's possible. It's quick and easy to set up. It works with any of our IP cameras, whether they're slightly older versions or the very latest one. They're all pre-configured to work with this system. But because of developments in the microphone systems, we're able to unveil new features in Cam Connect. So earlier this year, we launched room mapping. So instead of the pizza, we now work on zones. We need a food analogy for this. So we can create areas depending on the quality and the sound efficiency of the room, but with something like a Yamaha RMCG or a Sennheiser TCC2, we can have a meter by a meter. We can be very, very precise. So in theory, every chair could be its own zone. What that means as an improvement over the pizza is if I have my angle, unfortunately you two guys are on the same angle. So if you both talk, the camera doesn't know to focus on you or you. With the zones, I know exactly where you are in the XY coordinates. So it's very, very precise. And then we can just find you and shoot the camera. Sort of places that we are installing this: large meeting rooms, boardrooms, conference rooms. We've done installations into training rooms where we can define shapes as easily as that. We've got full control. If we've got a circular table, we can draw circles. We can still create pizza slices if we want to. We've got really good flexibility. So in many ways it's better than the pizza slice. It's just as quick to set up, very visual in the way you set it up, and we still support the camera profiles, and it still supports all of our IP cameras. We've got the audio in the ceiling for direction, but let's not forget we also need audio for reproduction of audio, for capturing the sound. So the great thing is that we have a very, very close relationship with Audinate and Dante. So we can now take the audio as a Dante IP stream and do some very clever ways of integrating the pictures we get and the audio. This is a developing story. In the next firmware, we'll be able to give a lot more features to customers on integrating that audio and video, but it's worth pointing out that this is something that's going to be another real breakthrough in the way.
You've got it set up in the second part, so we'll see it.
Exactly. Yeah. And come and see us next year. We'll be at in Barcelona at I say ISE, you say ISA, where we will be introducing the next generation. It all still uses exactly the same box, just a firmware update. Now where we add, you see, under the cameras, we'll be launching some room analysis cameras, which will enable dynamic, no presets for the cameras. So we'll be able to, means people will be able to move position, put a seat here for no reason, just because I want to sit here, and we will still be able to follow them. Now, it sounds great, and the results are fantastic from what I've seen, but there are disadvantages, primarily in the complexity of setup, because we need to know room measurements and all of these things. So it's, for some scenarios that will work very well, but for most, actually the zones is probably going to be...
And this needs, the rooms need to be treated a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, audio bouncing off the walls could cause...
Exactly, yeah. So that's the theory. And now, in theory, we should be able to see Cam Connect in action. Are there any questions? Okay, yes.
Sorry about this dynamic switching. I know it's a forthcoming thing, so...
so don't expect many answers.
No, I will not require any specifications, but is it just going to be a specific, like application-specific device, the extra bit?
Oh, yeah, it has to be a specific camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a camera for multi-purpose.
No,
it's just
no.
specific for
it's
this.
only for
All
sound analysis and picture analysis.
Okay.
It still needs the microphone.
Cool. All right. Cheers.
Okay.
You have to go to Barcelona to see it.
Yeah, but there'll be a beer, and there we go. So if you now look at this screen here, you can see that I'm talking to the camera, so the camera has spoken with me. David, do you want to take your seat in the middle? And then we can try and do this demonstration.
Okay, so if I start talking now, it will turn to me, and actually I'm sitting in the middle. In which zone am I now?
So you're with this camera?
Okay, so I'm talking now, so you can talk to me and we can have a conversation. Perhaps we should say here about the delay that it's been set up to put a large delay so that it doesn't catch small clapping sounds or if somebody coughs.
I'm still waiting for my clap.
Ah.
But yeah, so we can change it from 0.3 of a second up to 5 seconds, depending on how you want the room to be. And you can also give different areas of the room different importance. So I could be the priority zone, so whenever I talk, no one can talk over me. So that can be done at the cam.
So in this case, the camera stays on you when you're talking, even if we talk at the same time?
Yes, yeah.
It should be the other way around, right?
Of course. But HDMI has lost again. So if you see the monitor here, this is the output of Cam Connect. So if I ask the gentleman on the end here to talk.
Me?
Yeah.
Hello.
So this camera is activating, it's finding.
So if I keep talking, it will show me.
Yep, there you go. You're on the screen, and now I'm now.
Got the priority. So
I've got the priority. Yeah. And now, gentleman on this side, if you talk.
Hello, 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 everybody.
There we go. So I interrupted because I'm the most important, but if you talk and I stay.
Hello? Hello, can you see me? Please turn.
You've got to say, okay, Lumens.
Okay, Lumens. Yes.
Yeah, so we've set up quite wide presets. So we've got preset 1 is U3 and preset 2 is U3.
Actually, I think I'm right in between. If you pop it up on the screen, I think I'm in between the two zones where I'm sitting.
Okay. So if I click zone setting, here you can see this is my zone map. So the red dot is the position of my voice.
And if I speak, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm a little bit in one zone. Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello? Doesn't want to hear me.
I think it's, I'm slightly off screen, that's why. Hang on. You can see how easy it is for me to drag zones into different areas.
Speak again, Kostas.
Hello?
No,
Hello?
he's there. He's
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Hello, hello. 1, 2, 3.
There you go. So yeah, with the TCC2 and the RMCG, which have more microphones, it's more stable. As you can see, I'm not moving.
Smaller zones.
Yeah, smaller zones, yeah. So if I talk to the wall, I don't know, yeah, so you can see that there's an echo coming back. So it's good to have some soundproofing or in larger rooms or with the more expensive microphones. TCC2 and RMCG work really, really well. Back to...
Can I ask something here
Yeah.
about reflections? Is there any chance, have you experienced any chance that a microphone like this captures the sound from the reflected sound from a faraway wall and confuses the camera that
Yeah,
will turn?
in one installation we did.
But there's a trigger level.
Yeah, so there's a number of things. Here there's the trigger level by decibel, which we can change. But we can also, we did one installation which had glass walls. So the echo was crazy. So you just, in the microphone, the exclusion zones are really important. Setting up those zones on, this is the Sennheiser interface, and you can have, as you can see, 5 exclusion zone areas. And that's the same with all of the microphone manufacturers. You can describe your room and say, exclude anything from the edges. And it works well. So yeah, CamConnect, very, very versatile product, anywhere from meeting rooms to radio studios. It's got all sorts of different applications. And with that integration with the desktop delegate style, we're seeing a lot of interest from places, as David says, like courtrooms and meeting chambers for local government. So they can, because they have to be open to the public in democratic societies, yet they don't have the budget for the video crew. This kind of solution with CamConnect opens up all of those opportunities. And although we are slightly out of the EU, I believe that in the EU there are new regulations to say that local democracy must be available online. So for a lot of local districts and regions, doing a video production with proper video crews will be totally out of the question. This sort of solution is, in our view, the answer.
Is there a possibility to have a different style of video mixing, like camera mixing, like regular?
Yeah. So on the output, I can, instead of doing switching, I could have, let's see if it will now do it. There we go. So I can now see camera 1 and camera 2 at the same time.
And
So
if you talk?
If I talk, what happens?
it's already on you. So
Hello? Don't like my voice again?
You have to speak
1,
loud.
2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
hang on. I don't think I turned it on. Okay.
Babis, we'll let's see what
Should it?
Do you prefer me than Kostas?
Hello? 1, 2, 3. No?
I've done something wrong, haven't I?
Perhaps you disable something.
I think changing the output slide doesn't necessarily nullify, doesn't reject all the
presets.
working
No.
No.
presets.
But we do have customers who just use CamConnect as a multi-view. So they don't use microphone, they don't use
priorities,
they don't use presets.
Okay.
Yeah, they just have it as fixed. because it's an IP multi-viewer, which is hardware. Compared with doing it on software or on a Windows PC, there's no firewall, there's no antivirus, there's no window updates. It just sits there and does that splitting. So you can do video output. I can have all 3 cameras live at once. So I was at Infocom India in September. This is what they all have. I couldn't explain why. This seems quite strange to me, but that was their preferred layout. They want to see everyone all the time. I guess if you have 1.2 billion people, you're used to seeing lots of people. I prefer seeing 1 or 2 on screen, but there you go.
The second part, so there is a second part. We'll have a short break for about now for refreshments or whatever we want, have something to drink. And then we move to the other side of the room to see some more products and some more tracking.
IP
and the
tracking.
IP stuff. Yeah. Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. I will do some
History lesson first.
more Alexander the Great, they are all the way to India. And then he could not conquer India. He could conquer the rest of the world, but not India. So
Perhaps he didn't want to go.
he didn't like the food, maybe. Yeah. Okay, so we've watched about voice tracking. For the last 10 years, we've also been motion tracking. So the difference is, obviously, motion tracking is all about the movement. So if I'm in a presentation area, or if I'm teaching, or if I'm a church minister, then I need that motion tracking. So when we started the motion tracking technology, it was quite basic. It would look at, is this thing moving? And does this thing have maybe the same shape or color as a human? It was not very accurate. Then came AI. So we've now taken our technology and we've told the camera, this is 1 million different human faces from all different angles, so it will now recognize individuals. So the technology is very, very advanced compared with how we were even 5 years ago. This is a camera which has motion tracking. Again, exactly like Cam Connect, there is no software on my laptop. Everything is incorporated into the camera. So instead of just doing PowerPoint the whole time, let me show you the camera in motion tracking mode. Okay, so you can see on the right-hand side, we have 2 lenses. The bottom lens is our panoramic lens, and it can see everything in the room. And
If there's not a big head in front of it.
yeah, you can see here, everyone has a green box. So I have to align the 2 lenses.
Because it uses the bottom camera for tracking.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Okay, so now I stand up and move around.
So I'm now the subject. So it will follow me wherever I go. There is no escape.
Because it's your product.
Yeah. So the one old technology was I had to wear this device and the camera would follow the device. Now it's all AI. So we can set the camera up. Let's turn off the tracking. So if the camera sees me here, I'm now at the presentation board. We can say, now go to a preset position here. So it no longer tracks, it just is here. So for education and presentation areas, it doesn't keep moving if I'm here. If I'm here, it has to follow me. But if I'm here, it's fixed. Lumens technology is bulletproof. So this is the motion tracking technology. So we have recently introduced.
I think what you just said would be useful also on the website. It's shown quite nicely. Mm-hmm. We could go over it again a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
So we've introduced a new camera, which came about 6 months ago. So this is the same technology, but it's a 4K camera, top and bottom, 30 times zoom. So for a very large exhibition space or conference space or meeting space, this is a really good solution. For a meeting room of this size, then that is ideal. So we have many different tracking cameras depending on your need and what sort of video, what sort of lens you'd like to have. Now, we've seen voice tracking. This camera also does voice tracking. So let me just show this as well. Back to the interface. So if I change it to voice tracking, and voice tracking, now if I talk to the camera, it will find me.
And if I say something, it will turn to me and capture on me.
So if I talk again, if I'm so what we have, as you can see, it's gone wide, and then it comes close. We switch between the top lens and the top lens, so we don't see the swing. So if I stand over here, it's gone wide, it looks at me, and now it gives me the close-up. So for smaller teaching spaces...
Sorry, I think people are looking at this window.
Sorry.
We should be looking, that's the
This
output.
is the interface for the setup. This is the HDMI output. So as long as the bottom camera can see me, then it knows where I'm talking and who is talking, and then it looks at me. So how does this technology work? It is working on exactly the same principle as Cam Connect, except the microphone is in the bottom here. So we have 6 microphones at the bottom. Now they are not capturing sound, they're just doing the beamforming location. So it's, for smaller rooms, a really good solution. As you can see, the video output is really nice quality.
And if we all start talking at the same time, it will go to a wide shot.
Yeah, so we have a mode called multi-voice framing. So if there's a discussion for 20 seconds, instead of going left and right, it will again voice the frames, frame the voices.
Cool.
I can see both cameras at the same time. So I can change the position, and now I can either use the voice tracking or use the camera as a manual PTZ.
Or use it with Cam Connect.
Or use with Cam Connect, or use presets. So now we can have a conversation, with David, but we can see the whole room as well. So video output is HDMI and USB, so we can connect to Teams or Zoom, and people on the far end can see the one-to-one, and they can also see the whole room at the same time.
So basically what's happening here is we have the bottom camera, which is a wide, 120 degrees. It's a wide angle camera, and it uses it to do the motion tracking. So and there are some tricks. So it can be told in the settings to change camera. When I put my hand up, it will come to me in the settings. So if you don't want it to be audio tracking the room, it only tracks if you put the hand up, and then it follows you. Yeah.
So this is our very latest.
There's a lot of things like this in there,
yeah.
Because it's, they've opened up to the interface. There's many more, but they haven't opened them up to the interface. They've only opened things that are useful.
So one advanced feature this has is it also has reference in. So because it has voice tracking, if this was a loudspeaker in the room, it might think that there's a person here. So what we can do is send the audio from here to the camera, and it now excludes this. It says, don't look at this person. So it's quite a clever system. If I just show you, turn the voice tracking back on. I need 2 laptops. Because it's such a clever system. And Kostas, could I borrow your phone?
My phone?
Yeah?
My voice?
No, your phone. I need your phone. Okay. So voice tracking is enabled, so it's looking at me. It looks at the phone and says that's not human, so it ignores it. However, if I put it near David, it looks and says, there we are. It says this is now a human. So if we have,
because it sees my face.
Sees your face and the noise, combines the two.
Can't
So-
it see that my mouth isn't open?
If you own a room with a door which keeps slamming, it looks at it and says there's a noise, not human, we'll ignore it. So this is AI actually working, and good choice of music. Okay, so this is how the camera is working. We've got the ability to do to split up the room into zones again, and the blue line is exactly over the mouth of where the voice is coming from. So it's a really clever piece of technology.
So it listens to the voice and then looks for a mouth?
Yes. So next generation, come and see us at ISE, where we combine 2 cameras. So we can switch. So, 2 of these cameras, yeah. So when I attach this USB cable, you saw my laptop being shared. So how am I doing that? Normally over here, I have HDMI directly to the screen. That means that when I go into a meeting room, I can share my screen with the TV. Cool. But it's not great today when I need to be on a Teams meeting, because HDMI is no good for Teams. So what I have here is Lumens USB technology. So I connect my computer, I can take off, this is just for the interface, I can just connect my computer to our encoder and decoder and share my screen over the local area network. So David doesn't have to put new HDMI cables around the room. If he has an IP network, I can connect. I can send video over IP, but I can also send USB video over IP, which is very revolutionary. So it starts with the box which fell down, which is our decoder. Here. So this takes any video source from the network and converts it to HDMI. It also converts it to USB. So I could attach this to your laptop, and you could now take that to a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting. So if I talk to my decoder, here's the interface. So I can say, send the camera, or I can send my laptop. So you're now seeing my screen again. So if I have 20 cameras in this room, I can send any of them here. So we are, because I'm being filmed, I can't say the name, we're working with a very large entertainment company in Northern Europe, where we're putting in 1,000 of these boxes for 1,000 screens around their campus and sending video to all of them to entertain people as they're waiting or looking for information.
It also has more practical things, because when you have a stream on the network going somewhere, it's also available everywhere else on the network. So you could have it going to this screen, we could have it going to the streaming box, we could have it going to another screen on the other side of the
You can route it
of the campus.
Absolutely anywhere. Yeah.
At the same time without adding cables.
Yes. So what we can do is also send 2 videos to the box. So we can do this one at the same time. So if I'm doing my PowerPoint presentation here and the video here side by side to screens around the building, to screens around the whole campus, and immediately getting the Teams integration at the same time. So it's a very, very flexible device. I can send video from cameras, I can send video from laptops. Anything that is sending an IP stream or an NDI video stream or a Dante video stream can all go to the decoder. So let's just go back to single screen. So why did we want to do this? At the moment, if you go into a meeting room with your laptop and you want to connect your laptop to the system, you have to have an audio cable, you have to have a video cable, you have to have a cable to your speaker, and then you have to call IT because it doesn't work. So what we've devised is for the end user, they just plug in one USB-C and it automatically connects to your room audio, to your room cameras, and your teacher or your meeting manager doesn't have to do anything. Everything is immediately to the screen, immediately ready to go live on Teams. So I can send USB, I can send HDMI over the internet, I can send audio from the room speaker to the decoder. I can do the picture-in-picture, and I can put 1 to 1,000 of these boxes around your network.
I just saw that you can change the no signal to something to do with your organization. So
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you can have a holding slide. We love Amy, or something similar. So the other thing that we can do with the decoder is we can combine the decoder with our video controller, and we can manually do video control, we can select cameras, and we can do IP switching. So if we have 10 cameras, the IP controller, I can say camera 1, control, click, and it will go live. So instead of using an ATEM from Blackmagic with SDI, we can use the video controller with IP cameras and do live switching of cameras. So it's
and we
not
can have preview also.
the preview. Yeah, preview is on the screen. So it's not as sophisticated as Blackmagic, but for basic rooms, this is a really very cost-effective solution, and I can train someone how to use it in 10 minutes. Really very easy. At the moment, for the AV integrator, putting video cameras around a room like this, you either need long HDMI cables, or are you aware of HD-base-T? So HD-base-T is a really good way of sending video over Cat5, but you need a separate Cat5 cable. You can't put it over the LAN.
It's a direct cable, it's not a network.
Point to point, yeah. We're also having to introduce converters, and we're having to put a receiver and transmitter for every single camera. With Lumens, we can replace all of that with a single box, everything over IP. And if we want to make life really easy for the end user, we can attach them via a wireless Barco click share. So it becomes incredibly easy. If you want to have 2 cameras in a room, before you would have to have a Cat5 cable for every camera. You would have to have HD-base-T transmitter and receiver for every camera. You would have to have an HDMI switcher and then a converter. So you're talking quite a difficult job. With us, again, you're just using the local area network. Everything sits on the integration that you already own. Every company has a LAN. We can just put our equipment on that LAN and send video, send audio, and route it exactly where you want. If you want to have a tracking camera, fine. If you want to have 3 traditional PTZs, you can add that. You can take them off whenever you like. You can do that with, this is a room that we did recently in France, where they had a lecture room with lots of audio, beautiful sound, but the students actually couldn't see what was happening. So we just added cameras onto their IP network and sent video from the cameras onto the screen and allowed the teacher to share their laptop onto the screen at the same time. So we give people a huge amount of flexibility. To connect my laptop, I'm using the encoder. So what's interesting about this encoder is you all know encoders. They take video, they send it over IP. Wow, there's nothing special. But what we have is this is bidirectional. So I can send my laptop to the decoder, but I can also send the camera to my laptop. So I've got video going both ways. I've got audio going from my presentation to the decoder, but I also have audio from the microphone coming into the laptop. I also have audio coming from here to the speaker in the room. So we've got an encoder which is actually a 2-directional transcoder. So I can now run a Teams meeting from here using all of the room audio. I don't need to use this horrible webcam. I don't need to use these horrible speakers. I've got a professional sounding audio, professional looking video, just by using this one USB-C cable. I support Dante audio. So if you're putting in Dante audio systems, which is very, very common throughout Europe, then all of this equipment is supporting it. any kind of integration. We've got an enormous amount of flexibility to add multiple laptops, multiple screens, multiple audio devices. Everything is available because these are Dante devices. If you want to control everything using Dante, we can use the Dante interface. What Dante gives you is security. So if you're working in a finance, in a hospital or in education, and you want to make sure that those IP streams are located only in your building for certain people, for GDPR, you don't want anyone being able to share those, Dante gives you that security. You can lock the video just to the people that you need to have it. So all of that is supported by our devices. Here we're showing how we can use the Dante systems in really big lecture rooms, multiple laptops. We're using a room computer to run a meeting. Here we've got a lecture capture hall using the LC system, which I was talking to you about, to record and to stream. But we can add, oops, sorry, that's just gone too quickly. So we can add lots of different cameras easily over IP using your existing network. And you turn your lecture room into a TV studio, all using IP. Everything is done with remote control. So you can be in a different office, you could be in a different country managing all of this IT equipment. If you need remote support, it's very easy to dial in and get that sorted. If you have other pieces of technology already installed, like Extron and Crestron and QSys, all of our equipment supports those environments, so you can easily control our devices with other pieces of technology. So it's what we're bringing you is a new way of sending video over IP, of integrating all sorts of different video sources, laptops, and audio devices, just using these two very simple, they're called OIP, video over IP devices. All of them supporting our tracking and voice tracking cameras to give you that total solution, all based purely around Lumens if you wish, yes please, but if you want to bring in other IP cameras, other IP sources, any sort of audio devices, we support everything. And that's the presentation on the tracking and IP technology. So are there any questions?
Yes, I think now is a good time if we have questions about tracking. And as Kieran mentioned, there is always more to be done. So Lumens in these last I can't believe it's only 2 years with the Cam Connect, has listened a lot. I mean, it's come a very long way from the beginning 2 years ago. And we like very much as integrators how open they are. So of course it works very well with their equipment. That's what it tested with. But it's also open to third parties. And there are some good integrations with Aiton recently and a lot of more stuff going on. Education is obviously one of the primary targets because there's a lot going on there with the AV and also conference rooms and stuff.
Yeah. So again, what I was saying about Cam Connect, there are many different ways to achieve this. You know, if you want to integrate racks and racks of equipment, you can do the same thing. Probably more, to be honest, but not with this ease of use and not for this cost. So it's a real game changer. So it's something that, again, I don't think David had really had full training on until yesterday. He can now do this like that.
Even David.
Even David. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, Katerina has trained him well. Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
So yeah, if there are any questions, please let me know.
Any questions? Well, obviously we can talk after.
Yeah, and if you want to have a play with the voice tracking camera, please do. Let me turn off that side of picture-in-picture.
What's privacy mode? I've got a question.
Where was privacy mode?
Where you were, there was a privacy mode. If it sees the flies, your flies are open, it doesn't show it.
On here?
No, there, privacy mode. On the bottom left.
So this camera you can connect directly to the laptop to do Teams. So it will always be streaming. So if you want to pause the camera because you want to have a private discussion, you can just click privacy mode.
So it listens to the privacy mode from the conference.
Yeah. Yeah. So it means that for a lot of organisations where they've got cameras in rooms, they're very worried. Is that camera on all the time? If you're in a school, you don't want the camera on all of the time. So we've got various ways of overriding the camera to say, no, it's off. What you can do is set in Cam Connect, you can say, if there is no noise in a room for 10 minutes, face the wall. So I guarantee I cannot see anyone.